Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson. It's my dubious pleasure to come to you after Rangers' 3-2 loss to Celtic in this afternoon's Old Firm derby. Rangers going down 3-2 at Parkhead to Celtic in the SPFL Premiership, a Premiership which Celtic have now effectively retained. I was holding out a bit of hope still, even getting into this game today. A lot of us, I know, thought that the league was done and dusted, and I understand why. There was 9 points in it. Well, at least for a wee change now, it's not that 9 points we're talking about that we've been talking about for the past few months. It's a good old 12 points now, plus the loose change. It's done. We won't be winning the league. Celtic are going on for 2 in a row. Michael Beale, his 100% record as Rangers manager was lost to Celtic in January in that 2-each draw in the league at Ibrox. His unbeaten record as Rangers manager was lost to Celtic in that League Cup final at Hampden in February, and he's hung on to April before losing his unbeaten league record again. That goes to Celtic at Parkhead. Looks like a pretty straightforward story. Rangers can't live with Celtic, but yet today, the 96th, 97th minute of injury time, we're lining up that free kick outside Joe Hart's box. I fully expected Bonavaris just to call that right in the top corner. The feel of a game that we were going to take something from. Now this is just an old man talking. I think last week was my 47th anniversary as a Rangers supporter. Anniversary of my first game, 40 best part of 50 years I've been watching Rangers. You like to kid yourself on that you've learned something, you've got a bit of experience. I haven't learned anything. My experience counts for nothing, but I pretend that I can tell within the first 5-10 minutes of any Old Firm game how we're going to get on, particularly at Parkhead. It's how we stand up to Celtic, and I thought we really kind of confused the hell out of them today. We looked really confident, we looked really up for it. We were fulfilling the remit that the manager set the players in yesterday's press conferences. Need to get in their face, need to get close to Celtic, basically need to play this like a derby. My friend Robert will always tell me about the time what's his name, Josh Windass scored in the first minute against Celtic at Ibrox. We ended up losing 3-2 to 10 men. So my theory's far from scientific, but I just felt as if today, we looked the part. We lost 4-0 to Celtic the last time we went to Parkhead. We were 3-0 down by half time. So today it was a massive change, and I think it's particularly praiseworthy when you think of the massive loss that we suffered pre-match. Last night I'm on this pod saying that I wanted Alfredo Morelos dropped, because I didn't think he was as mobile as Fashion Sakala, and Fashion Sakala actually scored our last goal at Parkhead before today. Well, it turns out the man that was dropped instead was the guy who scored both our goals the last time we won at Parkhead, Mr. Connor Goldson, a hip injury apparently that's been getting exacerbated for the last few games. John Souttar, I thought he might be making an appearance as part of a kind of 3 centre halves at the back. This tactic that's been mooted by Michael Beale in recent weeks, but no, John Souttar just had to come in at the last minute, despite his total lack of match fitness, to replace our number one defender, Connor Goldson. We really are in a bad situation when we don't have Connor on the park. So you were fearing the worst, as I say. Celtic go for our throat straight away in these games. No away fans today. That's always going to create a kind of party atmosphere. They'll get right back into it. But by the end of the kind of first half, you've seen the Celtic players going about, try to G up their own crowd because they felt they weren't getting the backing. Because Rangers were upsetting. The way we set up was kind of 4-2-2-2, almost as far as the way I saw it. Nico Raskin did play. I thought maybe Michael Beale was talking up his return to fitness as he's wanting to do. Also didn't know if he should actually play since he's been out of action for the best part of a month, Nico Raskin. But he played today. I think he's arguably the best player in the park by the end of the game. He's sitting in beside Ryan Jack, and then in front of them, it looked like you've got Ryan Kent and Todd Cantwell, and in front of them, you've got your two kind of strikers, Malik Tillman and Alfredo Morelos, and it's much more complex than that, much more fluid than that, but that fluidity, it was really confusing Celtic. A lot of misplaced passes from them. They get 4 bookings in the first half, Celtic. And I think that's also a bit of an indictment for the team that it was Nico Raskin and Todd Cantwell who took our bookings. I'm not going down this whole road of, just because you take a booking, it means you've proved that you're giving it your all. But today, I think that was very much the case. 2 players starting in their first Old Firm game, kind of showing a bit more experience, more understanding of what's required in a match like this than a lot of the far more experienced Rangers players on that park. But this is a game that was taken away from us, say, by 3 massive individual errors. One from Ben Davies, one from John Souttar, and one from match official Kevin Clancy. Rangers in Celtic's faces doing everything we wanted of them in the first half, the first 20 odd minutes, and except putting the ball in the back of the net. But that seemed to have happened when Borna Barisic puts in a corner, 21, 22 minutes, I can't remember. And there's Alfredo Morelos at the back post tucking it away. Now, there was a bit of wrestling going on, as there always is in games like this at set pieces. Kevin Clancy could not wait to find a reason to disallow this Rangers goal, and he did. Alfredo Morelos was pushing off the Canadian internationals, Anthony Johnson, Alistair Johnson, I think the guy's called. I don't watch Celtic, except when they're playing us. I don't really know anything about their players. All I know is that when they're praising the referee, when the post-match comments are Celtic players, Celtic employees praising the match official, praising the SFA, that tells you that they know they've got off with one. Alfredo Morelos was getting his shot pulled as well. He they'd have put both hands just to hold off the illegal attentions of Johnson, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. Instead of diving for a penalty, as they've been perfectly entitled to, Alfie puts the ball in the back of the net. He's got a goal against Celtic at Parkhead in front of a crowd. Fantastic moment, no more than we deserved. No, Kevin is in there disallowing this. I'm not nothing sinister about this. I just think he's an incompetent referee, Kevin Clancy, and I think he's open to pressure. I think that's his problem. He's really easily influenced. Now, Ali McCoist, I literally love Ali McCoist. He's on co-coms today. For me, he's up there. Bill Struth, Willie Waddle, John Gregg, Ali McCoist. These are my personal Rangers pantheon. So nothing against Ali. I am scum in his presence. But he was saying, and being a good Rangers man, by saying he didn't like to see in the early stages of the game Rangers players pressuring the match official, putting pressure on the referee to book Celtic players. But Ali, I don't like seeing Kevin Clancy coming off the park at Pittodrie, having just sent off a Rangers player at the behest of the shenanigans of a former Celtic captain, Scott Brown, having a wee kiss and a cuddle with Brown, a wee laugh with the rest of the Aberdeen team, the same as he was doing when Brown was at Parkhead, and basically making sure that nobody would give anything against Celtic at Parkhead. It was seen as a kind of hate crime to give anything against Celtic at Parkhead, and that's basically what's happened today. We also, it was proven that we need to pressure Clancy when he gives him when he chops off a goal like that, and we then have this nonsense about VAR. People just saying the word, the acronym VAR now without even understanding what it actually means. VAR. I mean, this is people who usually think VAR's interfering too much with the game. It's slowing the game up. They were wondering why it wasn't interfering more today. That decision today had nothing to do with VAR. That decision today proved why we need VAR, because good old-fashioned refereeing, Kevin Clancy saying, there's a foul. He's doing more fouling than the Celtic player. Therefore, that's not a goal. But VAR could have called it for a penalty. Not if Kevin Clancy thinks it's Alfredo Morelos who's doing more fouling than Alistair Johnson. VAR should say it's a poor decision. Well, it can't. It's down to Kevin Clancy to decide that he's made a bad enough decision that it needs to overturn it. VAR can only refer it back to the referee, and Clancy has obviously decided that he's seen more of a foul by Alfredo Morelos than by the Celtic player. Absolute nonsense and thoroughly depressing. But this is one of the things, it's about character when it comes to these. That's one thing that Rangers have been suffering from, is a lack of character when it comes to setbacks in Old Firm games. Did not bad at Ibrox when we were a goal down at half time, obviously having gifted them a goal, come back, be winning 2-1 in the second half, but eventually chucked away the 2 of the 3 points that day. Today, we really took it badly, not getting that goal. Celtic then score a few minutes later, and it looks like they're hitting us again. They're going to get a second goal. No, Alan McGregor, a couple of cracking saves, a couple of decent saves to keep us in the game, and eventually, my captain, James Tavernier, we get a free kick outside the Celtic box, and he curls it into off the underside of the bar at the Celtic end at Parkhead. Absolutely brilliant. And Rangers have equalised. Rangers have taken this game back, and they've choked Celtic's image of themselves. This kind of idea, just they never stop and they're going to keep going. Once they get the first goal, that's it, game over. No, Rangers come back at them. Again, kind of messed up the momentum that Celtic have in their mind about these games, and you're hoping for the best. But the goal we conceded was poor. The first goal that we conceded was poor. It was a kind of imitation of that goal being conceded a couple of times in the League Cup final to Celtic against Motherwell a few weeks ago as well, where the ball comes in from this side. It was Taylor, I think, the left back. He fires the ball in, and at Furuhashi ends up, he's kind of unmarked in the middle of the box, and you saw Ben Davies and John Souttar pointing, I think, at each other to pick him up, and neither of them doing so. But that wasn't the real problem for me today. It was the run by, is it Delaney? I can't remember. It's a Danish player. I actually saw him playing for Copenhagen. I was over on holiday in Copenhagen once. Irish Irish name, but Danish international. He made this run to the front of our 6-yard box, to the near post. Totally unmarked, totally nobody picks him up from the midfield. Really massive mistake, and he's allowed to take the ball, spin, and again it's somebody walking the ball practically into our net from 6 yards out. This is the goal we concede, and into the second half we conceded it again, but this time we really helped them. Ben Davies, the ball's dropping down for the sky, just right on the byline, almost kind of just towards the edge of the box. He can't properly clear it. I think the sun actually got in his eyes, and it's just that the ball kind of bounces off a few players and ends up Furuhashi just walks the ball into the back of the net from really close distance. I mean, it's a sharp finish. He's on it, and I think John Souttar could have been across helping quicker, but John Souttar isn't match fit. He's just not been playing with this defence at all. Mistake's a mistake, but I'm not going to be too hard on him. But I would be a lot harder on him with the second goal. Again, Rangers, I think, I don't know who it was in the post-match comments on Sky, might have been James McFadden saying Rangers should have been clearing the ball up the park. All I remember is Ryan Jack playing the ball back to John Souttar in acres of space at the back, and John Souttar turns and almost falls over the ball, doesn't get a proper enough connection. He's trying to pass it back to Alan McGregor. Alan McGregor does not come off his line these days. John Souttar should know that, even if he's just training with him, he just doesn't move off his line. Greig's maybe a younger goalie would have got it, but Celtic get in there, Jota kind of rounds the goalie, just walks into the back of the net. 3-1, and you're thinking, right, game done and dusted. That feeling that I'd had already, that we'd started well enough to get some from this game. It was kind of realised when we then have the old band back together. I mean, Borna had the 2 assists the last time we won at Parkhead in front of a crowd. He should have had one in the first half of the day, that goal that was rolled out, but he's put one at the back post today, and there's James Tavernier, the old 1-2 from the 55 season. Borna to Tav at the back post, and then Tav goes in for goal number 100 from Rangers. It's in the Rangers end at Parkhead. Silence again, the party gets died down, the party gets killed off, so the noise you're hearing come from Parkhead across your television, it was kind of turning your stomach the same as mine. That was sorted, and you're thinking, let's do this, Rangers. You could feel the nerves. We went forward, but I think basically I want to single out Alfredo Morelos for some praise, because I wasn't, as I say, I didn't want him playing last night. I also thought 60,000 Celtic fans, that's going to be, I don't know if Alfie can handle that, and especially when I don't think he's fully fit, he's not fully mobile. But when he had a perfectly good goal rolled out, and he maintained his concentration, he maintained his discipline, his temperament was perfect today. And I didn't want to see him getting taken off by the end of the game. I wanted to see him stay in the park. He was doing really well, but he just doesn't have killer instinct finishing. He's not like a Gerd Muller type. He's an all-round kind of player, and he's very round these days, Alfie. But I think around about the 50th minute mark, well, it was still 1-1 with a couple of chances from Alfie. And he's doing well to get the shots off and what have you, but he's not. He could have done a lot better. There was real chances, and Rangers weren't converting chances, and that was the same for the rest of the game. Celtic got a few more chances, but it ends up we lose the game 3-2. And I think the thing that's been shown up in starkest relief is the paucity of the squad. I'm still on the side of Michael Beale. I'm still thinking it's more a case of he's doing well to get a tune out of this team when he's beating everybody else in Scotland, than I'm thinking he can't beat Celtic, he's totally useless. And Beale himself in his post-match comments, again, referring to the summer, as he tends to do when we've had a bit of a setback, because he's basically saying, we need this squad completely overhauled. And I think you saw that today politically, how we managed the fallout from this game. If we're playing Celtic again next week, I think we'd be up for it, and they'd be a bit kind of worried, but they're going to get 3 weeks now where they don't have to face us again, and it'll just, if we whinge too much about the refereeing decision, and I think that could end up Celtic just thinking, this mob have gone. They've got in their back pocket. They're going to go into that Scottish Cup semi-final, that massively crucial Scottish Cup semi-final. Our only chance really to stop Celtic winning the treble, never mind us actually getting a trophy. If we go into that having managed poorly the politics of this game today in the intervening 3 weeks, I think it could really cost us. I was a bit concerned with James. I fight with people online who don't rate James Tavernier as a captain. I was having a wee fight with a guy the day about it as well. And then I watched him in that post-match interview, and it looked like he actually wanted to talk about his 100th goal. I'm wanting the Rangers captain to bat that away straight away, but he ends up mumbling something about a bit like Mbappe getting a hat-trick in the World Cup final and end up in the losing team or something. I know it was part of him justifying why he didn't want to talk about his 100th goal today, but he wanted to talk about it being his 100th goal. No, we've lost to Celtic. You don't want to talk about anything James, accept where it all went wrong and how you're going to do better next time. And I think if we go, I mean, he then went on to criticise Clancy for a handball that didn't exist, a handball that hadn't happened in the build-up to Celtic's second goal today. And I can understand why, given what happened with the first goal Clancy disallowed for us, that he would. I don't have a problem with him having a problem with the referee, but I think we've got to be really careful how we manage this in the intervening weeks. Raskin and Cantwell look like the players we need. Against everybody else in this league, Raskin and Cantwell look like that. This is just exactly what we need. And a game like today, they look like they need help. They look like everybody else is kind of letting them down. Tillman, really tired in the second half. Ryan Kent, I think he had great moments in the first half as well. He's part of shutting for a lot of the stuff Ryan Kent does is more appreciated by opposition managers than appreciated by the Rangers supporters. He's a guy I'm always loath to criticise because I'm quite sure a lot of the time I'm just not getting it. He's a guy I always see when I watch the game back a second time. He's done a lot more than I realised watching it live, not through my fingers and the emotion taking over. But I think he was poor today. And Alfie, I think it's more a kind of nice goodbye now for Alfie. He's definitely on his way. And Michael Beale himself is talking about the summertime. And apart from anything else, he needs to get his team fit. He needs to get the fitness into the legs. They knew what they had to do today, and they managed it for 20 to 25 minutes as soon as we lost. In fact, as soon as we had our own goal, the goal that we scored first cancelled out in the first half of that by Clancy, the heads went right down. That's not just in the head, that's in the legs. You know, your biology affects how you are mentally. And I think we need to get the rumours about Gio not having given them a proper pre-season. I think they're borne out when we play Celtic, because even when we raise our game to the level that we need to do something against Celtic, we can't maintain it for the 90 minutes, never mind 96. It's been a horrible day, folks, and I've talked far too much garbage, because when things are bad, I need to talk even more than I do when my team's doing the talking for me. But tomorrow night, some sensible fellas, Colin, Gary and Craig, your regulars, they'll be on the 9:30 live flagship show Easter Sunday on our YouTube channel. Watch them, boys. They'll break it down for you, hopefully a bit more soberly and a bit more concisely than I've managed. But I know you're going to have a rubbish night, folks. So am I. So at least let's take comfort in being miserable together, and I'll talk to you soon.